this video from Umar this morning that I posted, right? I think that's like case in point. I don't really necessarily consider him the black left. However, I do consider him
He's
part of
black
that.
nationalism.
Yeah, black nationalism, right? So, but he is a part of that that black revolutionary class that
Yeah.
that controls, that has a voice into the community that no politician has, right? And then to hear his video this morning where he was essentially saying that there's really no point of voting until they address black issues. And in one breath he says that voting is pointless until, and then like 3 words later, he said, until black people control the political economic structure. And I'm like, wait a minute. You just said that politics is irrelevant, but then less than 10 seconds later, you said we need to control the political. How can we control political, economic, anything in America unless we control it through politics, political organizing, political action? So I shared that video and I said all that I have to say, and I've said it here like a dozen times. What is your thoughts in connection to what you're saying? And to what you're saying is that we on the left, but also the black revolutionary class in general. I'm just kind of making that up in terms of that big group that is outside of the political establishment, really empowering this idea that not voting is, especially this year, right? This year, 2016, with somebody as far left as Bernie Sanders, not voting is the revolutionary and the enlightened thing to do.
Well, listen, first, I would just differentiate on your last point, the black left and black liberals. Black liberals aren't necessarily the black left. The black left is small, but I get your point. Mm-hmm. In terms of Dr. Umar Johnson, I would say that, I've heard Dr. Johnson say some good things about, insurance and how we teach our kids and stuff. So I'm not going to say that like everything he says is bad. He says some positive stuff from time to time. And I think that's why he resonates with people. He resonates with people because he comes from an organic place. He comes out of the African-American community, unlike some liberals who are just kind of, puppeted by networks. He actually organically grew out of the community. So I think that's why he has that space. Here's my thing. I used to believe stuff like that. Like if you look back at me in like 2009, 2010, I was like, whatever. I'm an anarchist. I don't want to be bothered. Right. At a certain point, though, you have to get serious. At a certain point, you have to get serious. And when I say get serious, you have to pay attention to the numbers. The numbers tell the truth. Everything else is just words. The numbers tell the truth. So when he says, well, kind of he gets on this path of kind of saying white people, white government isn't going to do anything for us. My point to that is I want you to go to Flint and I want you to tell those people in Flint who have rashes and headaches and they have a neurotoxin called lead in their system. And I want you to tell them that the government can't do anything for them. And I want you to tell them, don't look to your government for solutions. I want you to tell them that, because the truth of the matter is the only entity that can fix a problem that big is government. Right. You can't fix it, Umar. I don't care if you take everything that you've gotten, your $500,000 you raised for the school, you can't fix it. I don't care if you go to celebrities. You can go to Will Smith, Jada Smith, you can't fix it. And even if you fix that one thing, guess what? The lead is high in Mississippi. You gonna fix that? Do you understand what I'm saying? So there is not enough money. Think about what we just said about the $1,700 for middle class Americans, the $100 for single black women, the top 5%, $350,000. We don't have any money. And the truth of the matter is we shouldn't have to fix it because we didn't tear it up. Do you understand? We did not tear up our communities. This was an insidious, deliberate thing that happened to us, from slavery to Jim Crow to redlining. This is not something that we should be trying to fix. I don't understand the desire that black people have all the time to blame ourselves. The minute we talk about black people being poor, the minute you bring that up, people want to say, well, that's black people's fault. They shouldn't buy this and they shouldn't buy that. Black people aren't, there was a study that showed black people don't spend any more frivolously than anybody else. Okay. So it's not us. It's we're poor because we're the children and grandchildren of former slaves. That's why we're poor. That's who we are. We are an underclass in this society, and that needs to be fixed. And it's not up to us to fix it. Stop saying it is up to us to fix it. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't help each other. I'm not saying we shouldn't work collectively. I think all of that stuff is beneficial, but it's just not enough for class uplift. And you can't tell me that everybody gets to go to Washington except me. Farmers get to go. Wall Street gets bailed out. Everybody gets to get their piece of the pie, but black people pay taxes and we don't get anything. And we're mostly wage earners. A lot of these people get paid from dividend income, which is taxed at 10%, versus our taxes wages is at 40%. But you're gonna tell me that I can't get what's my due? No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm an American. I don't care what you say. I'm an American. I have a lineage that goes back in this country further than a lot of immigrants that came to this country. And you're gonna tell me that I can't get it? You had Cubans get it. You had Cubans get 50% of almost 50% of SB business loans when they came here, when they immigrated here. But you're gonna tell me, you know, that I can't get it, or that I shouldn't get it, or that I'm begging government because I want it? That's insane to me. And you know, it's I said earlier that it is basically sort of this defeatism veiled as Black power.
Right. Right.
And that's the problem I have with it.
And that's the problem I have with it the most, right? And I'm with you. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I've listened to by Umar that I'm like, right on. I really like a lot of the things. Well, I can't say a lot of things, but there's some things that he says that I agree with, and there's some things I say that he says that I disagree with. Just like a lot of other people, you know, some people we know that they say things that are spot on, and then other things that were like, you know, and you look at the size and the scope of their influence, and in an election like this, when we actually had and have still the opportunity to change the course, the economic course of the average American, right? The working poor, the working class of America. You have that opportunity to have people with such large platforms to basically empower this idea that there's nothing political for us and there's nothing political that we can do to fix any of our problems. That to me is problematic, because if there was ever a year that something could have been done, it was 2016. And there has not been a year, like in my lifetime, I can't speak for everybody else, but in my lifetime, we have not seen a Democratic candidate who is so far to the left that the establishment is terrified of him. But a lot of the voices that had inroads into the Black community. I mean, the Black community that the Black misleadership class couldn't touch. The Black community that Black preachers could not control. The Black community that Hillary Clinton and their whole squad could not even touch. Some of those leaders kind of just are empowering this idea that there's nothing that we should do politically. And that's a whole block of votes that just really have so far, at least in the South. Maybe there's hope, you know, when we get to New York and when we get to California, New York, but they're throwing down their arms.
You got to think about it, though. You got to think about it, man. If, you know, like we said earlier, if Hillary Clinton gets in, she's going to need somebody to go around and spout this sort of anti-racism stuff, right? She's going to need somebody to go around and kind of talk to Black people in a way that we're familiar and kind of interpret how Hillary Clinton is doing great stuff for us and stuff like that. If you think about it, Bernie Sanders doesn't need all these racial spokespeople. My thing is class. It's not even race. I don't need you here. So this whole industry of Black spokespeople who come up on being able to interpret for Democrats, their whole industry goes out of business. They don't want that. They don't want that. This is how they make their money. You want to talk about those crumbs that fall from the table? This is how they get them. This is how they come falling down. And so without that exchange, they're not players anymore, because they're only players because of their proximity to white politicians, to Democratic politicians. They don't have anything of their own. So when you look at that, you really understand how they're made into puppets. And so that's my thing. And so my thing is, with so many you know, people like Dr. Umar Johnson, who I said rises up organically out of the Black community, this idea that Black people should not be, you know, and this idea, the one thing I want people to stop saying to me is that you got to stop begging white people. I'm not begging anybody. This is my government. Who are you? Where are you from? Like, exactly. What do you mean? Like, what do you think when Wall Street goes to Capitol Hill, they're like, oh, we shouldn't be begging these people just because, and not everybody down there is white. You have a Black man in the White House. You have Black Congress people. You have brown Congress people. And you're going to tell me I shouldn't go there because what? Because I'm Black. So everybody deserves to go there with their hat in hand, except for us. Is that what you're saying? It sounds to me that you think we're inferior.
I like the way you put that. Yvette, listen, thanks so much for joining me.
Not a problem.
Too much longer because if we do, then we're going to end up talking about something we disagree on. Here's one place where we absolutely agree, and it's funny. Like, I've come further to what you say, and I noticed that you actually have come a little closer to what I said, because I think when I first learned about you and I started hearing you and listening to you on Your Black World, you were closer to what did you call anarchy and not voting and not participating, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, I'm glad, I'm elated to hear you this close to being like, you know, here's our opportunity. Our opportunity is Bernie Sanders. Let's do it. You know, so I'm glad to hear that. And I don't know if it means anything to you, but I've come so much further.
And let me tell you, to me, this was a unique opportunity. Now, I think there are definitely times where you have to sit it out as a block or vote third party as a block. But to me, this was a unique opportunity. I never tell people anymore not to vote. I just say understand how limited your vote is in terms of what you're going to impact. You're not going to change the world necessarily by voting. You do that. Voting is like, you know, 2%. Of change, of political change. So that's what I tell people. So I think I probably had, especially in this situation, saying, you know, we can't sit this one out.
Yeah. Yep. Yvette Carnell, could you tell everyone how to reach you, where to read your blog, and where they should come follow you at?
BreakingBrown.com is my website. You can reach me at Yvette DC. Just reach out to me. Facebook, Yvette Carnell, and let's talk.
Awesome. Thanks so much for
joining me.
You have a great night, and I'll talk to you on Facebook.